a man whose dream was interrupted by his fragile health. He founded the Institute of Missionaries of Consolata. Today's curiosity is about Saint Giuseppe Allamano. Here are 13 facts about him. 13. Origin. Giuseppe Allamano was born on January 21, 1851, in Castelnuovo d'Asti, a small town in the Piedmont region of Italy. This small municipality, with its strong religious tradition, significantly influenced his upbringing. The town had a remarkable religious history, being the birthplace of saints such as Saint Giuseppe Cafasso, who was Allamano's uncle and had an inspiring role in his life. The Allamano family was made up of farmers, and after the early death of Giuseppe's father, his mother, Mariana, took on the responsibility of educating the children and managing the small property. Mariana was a deeply religious woman dedicated to the well-being of the most needy. She taught her children to help the community and serve the poor, instilling values that profoundly shaped Giuseppe's character. This family environment, where faith and work intertwined, helped develop in Allamano a sense of responsibility and a desire to serve. From an early age, Allamano showed an inclination for religious life, and at 12, he entered the seminary. His education included a period of study at the Oratory of St. Francis Delaware Sales, founded by St. Don Bosco in Turin. There, he came into contact with Salesian philosophy, which emphasized charity, care for the youth, and the missionary spirit. Although he identified with the mission of helping others, Giuseppe had a calmer and more reserved personality, distinct from Don Bosco's energetic style. Still, this contact with the Salesian work reinforced his desire to engage in missionary activity. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, subscribe so you don't miss any curiosities about the saints. 12. Influence of Don Bosco. The influence of Saint Don Bosco on Giuseppe Allamano's life was significant, especially during the time he studied at Don Bosco's oratory in Turin. This oratory, which housed young people in vulnerable situations and provided them with religious and professional education, was more than a school. It was a space where the Salesian spirit of joy, faith, and service to the youth was cultivated. In this environment, Allamano had direct contact with the Salesian charism, which encouraged charity and involvement in missionary activities, particularly those aimed at youth. Allamano's enthusiasm for missionary work was awakened by the experiences and examples he encountered there. However, despite his admiration for Don Bosco and his work, Giuseppe did not feel fully aligned with his mentor's energetic and lively style. He had a calmer and more contemplative personality, distinct from the dynamism and extroverted approach that characterized Don Bosco. While Don Bosco was an expansive and charismatic figure, Allamano had a discreet and moderate profile, preferring a quieter and more disciplined spirituality. 11. Missionary Vocation. Giuseppe Allamano's missionary vocation was a central aspect of his life and priestly journey, shaped both by his personal experiences and external influences. From a young age, Allamano felt a strong calling to missionary work, although his family encouraged him to follow the traditional path of a diocesan priest. This family pressure reflected the reality of many young people of the time, who saw diocesan priesthood as a safer and more stable form of religious life. However, Allamano's desire to become a missionary was deeply influenced by religious figures he admired, especially Cardinal Masaya. Masaya was an active missionary in Ethiopia, known for his work under challenging conditions and his commitment to evangelizing in remote lands. The history and achievements of Masaya sparked in Allamano a strong aspiration to follow in his footsteps and bring the message of the gospel to people who had not yet encountered the Christian faith. The cardinal became a model for Allamano, symbolizing the spirit of adventure and total dedication to the missionary cause. The tension between family expectations and his personal missionary calling created an internal conflict in Allamano. He realized that, although the path of diocesan priesthood was respectable, his true passion lay in reaching those who were distant, both geographically and spiritually. This recognition led him to reflect on how he could reconcile his priestly formation with his missionary vocation. Leave your prayer requests in the comments so that Saint Giuseppe Allamano may intercede for you before God. 10. Fragile health. Giuseppe Allamano's fragile health was a significant factor that shaped his journey and missionary aspirations. From a young age, he dealt with health issues, including frequent episodes of migraines, which left him debilitated and unable to engage in intense physical activities. This condition became an obstacle to his dream of becoming an active missionary, especially in a continent like Africa, which at the time presented not only logistical and cultural challenges but also a reality of diseases and adverse living conditions. Allamano harbored a strong desire to go to Africa and follow in the footsteps of other missionaries, like Cardinal Masaya, whose story of dedication and sacrifice for the needy deeply inspired him. However, the deterioration of his health raised concerns for both him and his superiors. The idea of embarking on a mission in such a demanding environment, far from home and family support, was complicated by his physical fragility. He saw himself as unable to endure the hardships a missionary would face in remote regions of Africa, where the climate and lack of resources could further exacerbate his health. Rather than focusing on his own missionary vocation, he channeled his energies into the formation of other missionaries. Understanding that his health limited his options, he decided he could contribute in a different way by creating an institute to train missionaries to work in African countries. This thought not only allowed him to fulfill his desire to engage in the mission but also provided a solution to the growing need for missionary workers at a time when many regions of the world were being opened up to evangelization. Thus, his weakened health ultimately became a catalyst for the development of the Institute of Missionaries of Consolata. Instead of lamenting his limitations, Allamano used his life experience to shape an institution that would meet missionary demands, preparing men and women who, with vigor and health, could bring the message of the gospel to places where he dreamed of being. Allamano not only cared for his own health but also committed to ensuring that those who followed in his footsteps would be well prepared and well cared for. His vision was of an apostolate that not only evangelized but also took care of the physical and spiritual health of missionaries, promoting a balanced and sustainable approach to missionary life. 9. Missionary Project. In 1890, Giuseppe Allamano took a bold step by drafting a missionary project aimed at creating an institute dedicated to training missionaries to work in underprivileged regions, especially in Africa. This proposal stemmed from his deep conviction that the mission was not limited to meeting local spiritual needs but should also reach peoples who had not yet received the message of the gospel. However, when presenting his project, Allamano faced significant resistance from the bishops of the Piedmont region. The bishops, aware of the shortage of priests in their own diocese, saw the priority as attending to the needs of local communities. For them, the focus should be on evangelization and pastoral care for the populations already under their jurisdiction, rather than sending missionaries to distant lands. This view was understandable, given that many places in Italy, especially in rural areas, lacked pastoral and spiritual attention, and the bishops feared that the formation of new missionaries might lead to a loss of human resources needed for local parishes. Allamano, for his part, understood the bishop's concerns but was determined to advance his missionary vision. He believed that while local work was crucial, there was also a great need for evangelization in other parts of the world, and that Piedmont could and should contribute to this cause. He was aware that the Catholic Church had an important role to play in spreading the faith in regions where it was almost unknown, and that training qualified missionaries was essential for this effort. He dedicated himself to contacting other missionary institutes that already existed in Italy, exploring possibilities for collaboration and exchange. Additionally, he began developing a more structured plan for the Institute of Missionaries of Consolata, emphasizing the importance of solid spiritual and academic formation for future missionaries. 8. Institute of Missionaries of Consolata. In the face of the difficulties he encountered in his journey to become a missionary, Giuseppe Allamano decided to channel his passion for the mission in a new direction by creating the Institute of Missionaries of Consolata. The founding of the institute was a decisive step in realizing his vision for effective and sustainable missionary work, especially in regions like Africa, which needed both evangelization and social support. The Institute of Missionaries of Consolata was officially founded in 1901, with the central purpose of forming religious men and women who would not only dedicate themselves to preaching the gospel but also be prepared to face the social and cultural challenges of the communities they would serve. Allamano understood that the mission was not limited to the transmission of faith but that it was equally important to address the human and social needs of the people. Therefore, the Institute incorporated a strong component of holistic formation, addressing spiritual, theological, and social aspects. The training offered by the Institute was rigorous and aimed to form missionaries with a deep sense of belonging to the Church and its missionary commitment. Allamano emphasized the importance of religious vows and community life, believing that a sense of spiritual family would be fundamental in sustaining missionaries in their challenging work. This approach differentiated the Institute of Consolata from other missionary organizations of the time by prioritizing the formation of a strong community identity and robust spirituality. Allamano also knew that missionaries needed to be well informed about the cultures and contexts in which they would work. Thus, the training included studies in anthropology, sociology, and local languages, preparing religious men and women to become not only evangelizers but also agents of social transformation. This was particularly relevant at a time when Africa was undergoing significant social and political changes, and the Church needed to respond to these dynamics in a respectful and adaptive manner. The first mission of the Missionaries of Consolata was established in 1902, in present-day Ethiopia. This choice was not random. Allamano had a deep connection with the missionary history of that region, particularly due to the influence of Cardinal Masaya, who had planted the seeds of evangelization there. From this point, the Institute grew and began sending missionaries to other parts of Africa and the world, expanding its reach. 7. Maternal Influence. The maternal influence played a crucial role in shaping Giuseppe Allamano, molding not only his spirituality but also his commitment to social justice and helping the needy. His mother, Mariana Allamano, was a central figure in his life, instilling values and principles that would stay with him throughout his journey. From an early age, Mariana dedicated herself to teaching Giuseppe the importance of charity and solidarity. She often took him to visit the poor and to participate in actions aimed at alleviating the suffering of the most vulnerable. These practical experiences were fundamental in developing a sharp social sensitivity in him, which later became a distinctive feature of his mission and work as a priest. By observing his mother's compassion and dedication, Allamano learned that helping the poor was not only a moral obligation but an expression of love and faith. Mariana was also known for her deep involvement in the community, participating in initiatives that sought to support those in difficulty. She passed on to Giuseppe the importance of serving others, emphasizing that true wealth lies in the ability to care for the well-being of others. This upbringing, rooted in the practice of charity, inspired in Allamano a desire to dedicate himself to the mission, especially in contexts where poverty and social exclusion were evident. In addition to teaching about helping others, Mariana instilled in her son a strong sense of human dignity. She emphasized that every person, regardless of their economic or social situation, deserves respect and care. This perspective would become one of the pillars of Allamano's work, which focused not only on providing material assistance but also on offering dignity and value to the lives he touched. He sought to create an environment where people felt welcomed and valued, reflecting his mother's teachings. 6. Religious confraternities. During his childhood, Giuseppe Allamano was profoundly influenced by his participation in religious confraternities, which were popular groups of practice and devotion in 19th-century Italy. These confraternities played a significant role in the spiritual life of the community, offering a space for living out the faith and engaging in acts of charity. One of the most impactful confraternities in Allamano's life was the Confraternity of the Addolorata, dedicated to Our Lady of Sorrows. This confraternity was known for its emphasis on devotion to Mary, especially in times of suffering and affliction. Allamano's participation in this confraternity provided him with a deeper understanding of Mary's role as an intercessor and consoler, reinforcing his connection to Marian spirituality, which would later become central to his mission. The Confraternity of the Addolorata not only offered Allamano a place for prayer and reflection but also introduced him to the concept of religious community, which valued solidarity and mutual support among its members. This group experience helped shape his view on the importance of community in the practice of faith, an idea that would later be reflected in his founding of the Institute of Missionaries of Consolata. He believed that living in community, with a strong sense of belonging and support, was essential for facing missionary challenges and sustaining the spirituality of missionaries. The experience in the confraternities also exposed Allamano to various forms of spirituality and devotional practices that enriched him. He learned the importance of traditions and rituals, such as processions, novenas, and communal prayers, which deepened the experience of faith and reinforced the commitment to Christ's teachings. This spiritual formation, combining personal and communal devotion, prepared him for missionary life, where prayer and communion with others would be fundamental. 5. Inspiration from Giuseppe Cafasso. Giuseppe Cafasso was a central figure in Giuseppe Allamano's spiritual formation and personal development. Cafasso, Allamano's uncle and a respected priest in Castelnuovo d'Asti, left a legacy of dedication to serving the poor and marginalized, which deeply impacted his nephew's journey. Cafasso was known for his commitment to the needy and his concern for providing both spiritual and material assistance to the disadvantaged. He served as a confessor and counselor to many, being an example of humility, compassion, and dedication to the cause of good. His pastoral approach emphasized the importance of seeing Christ in the poor, a principle that resonated strongly with the values Allamano would cultivate in his own life and mission. Cafasso's influence manifested in various aspects of Allamano's life. From a young age, he was exposed to a practical spirituality that was expressed through care and attention to the needs of others. Through his uncle's example, Allamano learned that true faith is expressed in concrete actions of love and service. This vision shaped his understanding of mission and religious vocation, inspiring him to work with dedication in favor of the marginalized and those who suffered. Cafasso also represented a model of priestly life that combined spiritual rigor with deep empathy for the struggles of others. He fostered an atmosphere of welcome and solidarity in his parish, and this experience left an indelible mark on Allamano. The nephew admired not only Cafasso's strong faith but also his ability to connect with people, offering comfort and hope in moments of difficulty. 4. Relationship with Maestra Savio. Giuseppe Allamano's relationship with his former teacher, Maestra Savio, was a significant aspect of his personal and spiritual formation. Maestra Savio was a respected educator, known for her dedication to teaching and her commitment to the holistic development of her students. Her pedagogical approach went beyond merely transmitting knowledge. She incorporated ethical and moral values, promoting an education that nurtured both the intellect and the heart of the young. Allamano, who had Maestra Savio as his teacher during his childhood, was deeply impacted by her methodology and her way of being. Maestra Savio was more than an academic instructor. She genuinely cared about the well-being of her students and encouraged them to develop a sense of social responsibility and compassion. This concern for the formation of conscious and ethical citizens resonated with the vision Allamano would later have regarding the role of education and religious formation. 3. Death and Liturgical Day. Giuseppe Allamano passed away on February 16, 1926, in Turin, Italy. The liturgical day in honor of Saint Giuseppe Allamano is celebrated on February 16. 2. Beatification. Giuseppe Allamano's beatification took place on October 7, 1990, during the papacy of Pope John Paul II. This event was significant not only for the congregation of the Missionaries of Consolata but also for the Catholic Church as a whole, as it recognized Allamano's life of holiness and his missionary work. The beatification celebration was held in Rome, where many faithful and members of the congregation gathered to honor the memory of the founder and his legacy. 1. Canonization. Giuseppe Allamano's canonization took place on October 20, 2024, presided over by Pope Francis. This act formally recognized Allamano's holiness and his contribution to the Church's mission, especially through the Institute of the Missionaries of Consolata that he founded. And we have reached the end of another story full of curiosities. Don't forget to leave in the comments which saints' curiosities you would like to see here on the channel. Until the next story.